Welcome to Trippy Commentaries and our GTA 5 Easter egg hunt. I'm RJ here with Justin.
Yo.
And today we're checking out one of the most mysterious areas here in San Andreas. This is the alien Hippy Camp, I guess we'll call it. I don't know. But it is definitely pretty interesting. There's a lot of alien symbols found here, and it eventually leads to the location of the first UFO that we can find here in GTA 5. But before we go check that out, there are a couple things that I find really interesting that are here, and perhaps they lead to another Easter egg in the game, not just the UFO found here at the camp. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are covering everything here in Grand Theft Auto 5, so make sure to stay tuned. We'll cover it all. First thing I wanted to show you guys are these squares over here. Now this is going to be new to you as well, Justin.
Yeah.
Now these four squares link up to the exact same formation of the squares on the mural on Mount Chiliad. So the mural that's on top of the mountain there that shows
you showed
off,
me that before.
of course, the Easter egg and the jetpack and all that. These squares are in the exact same position.
Wow.
So that's kind of strange. I don't know why they are linking up the two.
Yeah.
But, you know, that is odd that, of course, you have the one on the top with the three right below it and the one a little bit below the other two there. So that is strange. Perhaps it is pointing us towards something else. Another thing that is pretty interesting here is these symbols here, these circle symbols, along with these alien humanoids, are referencing yoga. It is all referencing yoga. So this is all just different yoga formations and positions. All these aliens, they're all doing yoga. Right here, this is, I guess, a yoga position. Over here, this one is actually one of the positions we saw Michael's wife do with the yoga instructor.
Right.
So for some reason, they are linking up the existence of aliens and UFOs with yoga. You can actually see some guys over here doing yoga. I think that happens during the daytime. Right now it's the middle of the night, so they're not here. But there's only two places that you can do yoga in the game. You can do it at Michael's house, and you can do it on top of Mount Gordo. So, you know, maybe there's something else at Mount Gordo for us to find. We'll definitely have to take a look at that.
Yeah, let's check that out.
But, you know, that's definitely an interesting tide between UFOs, aliens, and yoga. So there's a sign up here that we have to check out. You have the UFO symbol, or the all-seeing eye there, with the moon. Not too sure what that is referring to. Maybe they're telling us to go to Mount Chiliad at nighttime, you know, to see that UFO. Not too sure. There are some words written down over on this wall. In fact, you can find them all over this area. It says pleasure, karma, life, and happiness. Definitely seems like some hippie words, at least. So one really interesting thing that we have to look at.
It's like a code or something.
Well, it's funny you say that, because these letters and numbers, 6EQUJ5, make up a famous signal called the WOW signal. So this is a really crazy signal that was discovered from outer space. Basically, the guy who was reading the I guess the readings from what was called the Big Ear, a big satellite, saw this signal come in. Basically, it notified him of something out there, and he wrote right there on the paper, "Wow."
Wow.
And from then, it's been known as the WOW signal. Now they put it right here in the alien camp. It could be an obvious reference to the UFO that's hovering over us right now, but I think that is pretty interesting that they're putting that, you know, in the game here in GTA 5.
Yeah, very cool.
So another obvious clue to the UFO that's in this area is this right here that says "Beam me up." So most of this, like I said, is pointing us towards the location of the first UFO here in the game,
Yeah.
but there are some strange clues. Of course, one being the squares over there on the hill opposite of the hill that we're on now. So let's go ahead and get a bird's eye view of the area before we check out the UFO. There's one last symbol I'll show you here. This is the UFO again with the rain cloud. You can find that one on the side of Mount Chiliad. And that one seems to be pointing us towards the UFO appearing on top of Mount Chiliad at 3 o'clock while it's raining. You know, you have 3 raindrops, you have 3 lines above the UFO. So that seems like a clear-cut sign. So let's go check out the UFO. We can get a nice bird's eye view of this gigantic art mural that it looks like the hippies made here. Another thing that some people have found significance in is the dead tree. There's a couple other dead trees that you can find around San Andreas. In fact, there's a couple in Mount Gordo, location that we just mentioned. So maybe that has some symbolic, something behind that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like you have a picture of the Earth, and it says, "Life is universal. Save us." Interesting. So let's go ahead and climb all the way up into the highest point of the atmosphere, the highest point that the map lets us go, and we will find the first UFO here in the game. Now, you're pretty much going to want to go exactly where that arrow is pointing us down there. It is pointing to the UFO on top of the station wagon, so it seems like a pretty clear-cut sign that the UFO is right here. I don't know who found this UFO first, but you gotta say, it was a pretty obvious clue. You have to have 100% completion in the game to actually see it. So unfortunately, I could not explore and find it myself at that point. I was not quick enough. I was too busy, going on side missions to beat the game and complete it 100%. But someone must have found it, and I guess props to them. I mean, it's a pretty obvious clue in my opinion. The other 2 UFOs are not quite as obvious. So, what do you give this game, Justin? This is an epic game. I mean, definitely pretty epic compared to GTA 4. Now, you played a lot of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, right?
I did. I've played a lot of Vice City, San Andreas 4, and now 5. I would say 5 is obviously the pinnacle of the series. The best graphics. You get helicopters and airplanes again, like you didn't get in 4.
Yeah.
They really hooked us up. I mean, the online play is also pretty awesome. I highly recommend it. I played more of that than the storyline, I think.
Really? I've not yet delved too much into online.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, you said this was the pinnacle of Grand Theft Auto games. It might even be the pinnacle of video games, depending on, just your point of view.
At this point, I would agree with you.
Yeah. It is, in my opinion. So, very interesting stuff here. We're gonna ascend to the highest point to find the UFO. Now, I brought up San Andreas. Which game do you view this game as better than San Andreas? Because we just said it's the pinnacle of gaming, which, as far as graphics, soundtrack, all of that,
right.
I would say it is.
I do. I think it's just a notch above San Andreas because of the capabilities of the systems. Compared to the capabilities of PlayStation 2 or whatnot.
Yeah, the Xbox One.
Right.
Or the original Xbox.
The original Xbox.
We can't call it the Xbox One anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, despite there's not an extra city, you can't go to Vegas, you can't fly certain things around, you don't have
the jetpack.
You don't have the jetpack. Oh.
The storyline, I don't think, is as epic as the one in San Andreas. Here we go, we found the UFO. We'll definitely get into that more because I would say that there's some pretty strong suits about San Andreas that this game doesn't have. But enough of that about that. Let's check out the UFO. There it is in all its glory. As you see, it says f.i.b. on the side of it, so maybe the government is driving it around. I don't know why they would hover right over the Hippy Camp. But one thing that is,
They're spying on them.
yeah, one thing that we have to look at here is that there's a hatch at the bottom of the UFO that opens and closes. So perhaps there's a possible way to fly into there. Now, the UFO will shut off your engine. So if you get too close, you'll find yourself diving into the air. In fact, we're getting pretty close now, so that might happen to us. Maybe you can shoot a missile into there.
Right.
Because it does open and shut. It's probably just a nice graphical touch.
You might have to pull an Independence Day with Randy Quaid. Just fly it up in there, man. Take the fighter jet right up in the center.
Man, someone's got to take the laser, the fighter jet, and just fly it straight up. They have to pinpoint the area that it's at and just go straight up and do it. So
that's cool. I haven't seen this yet. I haven't had a chance to get into the UFO missions. I know you've been telling me a lot about them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty awesome that you had very astute observations on the Hippie Camp and all the signals there that I would have never picked up on. It's great that you're pointing those out. And now look at this. This is why this is a pinnacle of gaming. Oh, there he goes.
Well, we slipped off the UFO, unfortunately, but there it goes. So yeah, that's the first UFO. That's the first of 4 UFOs that we will check out.
4.
Now, the 4 that we know of. There may be another UFO that we've yet to discover. Who knows? But the second one we will find in the depths of the ocean underwater. This is interesting right here. As you saw it ripple, it's pretty interesting how it almost signals you when you're getting close to the UFO. The screen you see that?
Yeah.
It's kind of a strange clue that you're getting close or you're directly below it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the second one will be found underwater, and that one actually looks a lot like the one we just saw. The third one is found on the top of Mount Chiliad. We had mentioned that one earlier here in this episode. And the fourth one, and probably the coolest one of all, is found high above Mount Chiliad, or I'm sorry, not Mount Chiliad, Fort Zancudo. The military installations. So that one is very cool. It makes some really eerie sounds and definitely pretty interesting. We'll check that one out. I think it would be so cool if Rockstar let us drive one of these UFOs. I think that would be the ultimate Easter egg.
Oh, make it a multiplayer feature. You can fight each other in UFOs. That would be amazing. Come on.
Hell yeah, man. So hopefully Rockstar adds this in a DLC something, because of course we want to do some more stuff with the UFOs. But thank you guys for joining us here for this installment of the Easter egg hunt. Peace out.